Thank you very much. I want to just thank Charles Simic and the Library of Congress and the Witter Bynner Foundation for this great honor. It's really a thrill to be here, and I want to thank all of you for coming. And I'm especially grateful to a lot of family and friends who are here, who came a long ways to be here. That means a lot to me. I'm going to read some poems from Subject to Change, and then I'm going to read some poems from a new manuscript that I just finished called Like Luck. This first poem is called Refrain. The dogs run ahead, barking up crows, as you bring up the rear, a shotgun balanced in the crook of your arm, heading back to the water. This afternoon you thought it a sign of getting older, this diminishing interest in the details of a thing. Your face in the mirror, say, with its tight wrinkles in the upper lip, or the perfect fit of all the tiny pieces of your watch. You find yourself wanting things to work without you having to know the how or why. Now the dogs are lying in the grass, their tails still. There's a samurai philosophy in this you're trying to master. Refrain until you can respond instead of react. Or look before you leap. That works too. And here's one more. Count your blessings. You're still alive because you were late and missed your flight. It happens to the best of us, which would later go down in the still waters off Prince Edward Island without you. Or you lost 4 fingers to the circular saw. Again, it happens. It happens. But the doctor sewed 3 back on, and they work. Here at the water's edge, beneath the trees' crooked wings, the things that warm the mush of your heart seem beyond explanation. The way a good night of drinking in Hoboken ended years ago, with you pissing between parked cars. Just before one you'd thought empty, there for the night, churned to life and pulled away from the curb. How is it these things you think most beautiful, the green-headed marsh ducks dabbling, upending themselves in the still waters of Lake Ausable, are the very things you've come to kill? Don't worry over the past, even if you can't remember the refrain to this scrap of a song as it courses through your head, floating back now from a time you long for, or even work yourself back to who it was that was singing. Remember the kangaroo, that funny, deep-pocketed marsupial, can't jump backwards either. And there's a few poems in here about painters and also in this new manuscript. And this next poem is something I wrote after looking at some paintings by Fairfield Porter, who was a painter in the mid-20th century who lived out on Long Island back when it was still, I guess, mostly farmland and pretty rural. And so I wrote this in sort of my imagining of his voice. And he was a fan of Wallace Stevens, like me. And he actually has one painting, it's sort of like a kitchen table still life. And in the midst of this breakfast scene, there's the collected poems of Wallace Stevens. So I echoed in here, you'll hear a pretty strong echo of Stevens in the poem, in one line. Fairfield Porter, potato farms and hayfields, and the green and yellow spill of trees were what I found here. The island was very, very dry that summer, and the grass turned the color of the rock. This is how light works. Elaine de Kooning in orange and a muddy brown jackety thing on the floral print couch. A smattering of flowers, just smudges really. Blips of white, yellow, pink against the shore. Then the lighter patch of light on my hair. The twin pinpoints of white in Catherine's eyes. And here, the clean gleam of our Adirondack chairs, white on white, sitting over their shadows on the lawn. And on the table, an open bottle, a glass. I placed a half-filled glass in Southampton, and the island rose around that glass. The studio, Anne in the doorway come to see me, and out the window the pink and purple Canterbury bells and foxglove. Jimmy planted those. Do you recognize the morning harbor's pink, cerulean, pale orange? It was always clear to me this tree outside my studio was only 8 strokes of white, touched with gray, so I painted it that way. And these are a couple of sonnets. I wrote the first one, and then I thought it'd be fun to write a sequel to a poem, because you don't see that a whole lot. And so they're sort of like echoes of each other. Long after. A break in the clouds spills a quick shimmer, slivers of light that lick the river, white puckers, coins, strips of crumpled foil, glimmers too bright to look at long, or else a flight of silver birds, their flickering wings. How you define space, inhabit it. Blue light breaks behind the elders. How your faint glow makes this world knowable again. The sleight of hand of light and dew working against each other on the grass, sprinkling half-moons, sparks, glister, glisten, a glissando longed for, long after it's gone, known only in its moving away. Too soon, the silver birds call, as if somehow wronged. And this is called Clearing. And here's the clearing, the open space where the river ravels off one smooth finger, and ferns and pockets of shadow pare the light down back beneath the trees. Linger now to hear two silver birds call out, too soon, then fly across that second sky, swiftly overlapping on that slow-lapping blue. Between what's going and what's gone, you see that you're alone. The light falls fast. So faint, the disappearing trees. Few things last too long, and last things you let slip like so. The river sky dims, the birds, their song long past. Though you look again, till something sings within you, and without that, don't let go. And this next poem is called Variations, and it's a little prose poem in three parts, and then each part has three variations in it, which is not as long as that probably sounds. But Variations. 1. The hills fall away to a shallow gully, bent reeds yellow and green, and so there must be a hint of water there. Or, in the Tuileries, women wear scarves against the brisk fall morning. Don't linger long. But the flowers still bloom. Oranges, reds, heart-colored possibilities. Or, I see in its leaving why you loved the light. 2. The moon round as the moon-shaped scar on your shoulder. Or, down to the chestnut trees, the cobbled street, the sky warms up from gray to gray blue. Chimneys and rooftops, only shadows in the fog. Or, no, not then, but later, thinking of then. 3. What bits of French I still have. The funny sound of surprise. How my tongue still misses that missing R. Or, how imagination sidles up beside memory, someone's tongue in someone's ear. Or, touched by the play of light. Or, be sure to get the sparkles right. Or tipple, or tipster, or tidbit, or tinsel. And this is a prose poem. It's called Little Waltz. We all fall in love with a bright sky falling between the trees like a church, like anything we cannot touch. We walk out towards it, it creeps further away. And each night has a dog in it that barks and barks. When we sing to someone, even if he or she's not there. Think of the loneliness of valence electrons, all those open hands. That dance they do to give us salt, rust. That's why lightning's always on the run. Why I love a door ajar, and the light it lets out, and someone singing in the tub. The scratches on this record sound like rain. Or is that rain? When I make up words for the long-legged waltz, I make them for you. They say, let's go back between those careless black filaments of trees. Let's go back. Let's go. Let's. And this is the last poem in the book. It's got a musical title. It's called Coda, Where the River Runs. What comes in music? What comes in the light in light brown eyes? A flicker of light in brown eyes. What comes back? The cello's wavery rubato, this string of a song, the lovers falling into one another, oh and oh. Shaped by sadness, by what stays close for going unsaid. How the heart seizes, grips, then lets go. Where the river runs over the rocks, where the black tern hovers over inland marshes, the light grinds down to a dusky glow. Quiet, quiet. Even if my heart wallops in my chest like a fish in a bucket, and there's nothing I can say to make it stop. And this new manuscript is called Like Luck. And I didn't find this until recently, after I'd had this title for a while, but Robert Mitchum says somewhere that maybe love is like luck, and you have to go all the way to find it. I kind of like that. This is the first poem in the book. It's called Horn of Plenty. And a number of these poems take place in Astoria, Queens, where I used to live. And this one takes place during the evening rush hour commute home from Midtown Manhattan, where I work, to Astoria. Horn of Plenty. Like this paper horn of flowers tipped across an arm, I'm jostled, poked with it. It's how happiness happens here in the subway. Asters to zinnias and violets, deep oranges, crenellated yellow and cream, the faint brushwork of baby's breath, miscellaneous greens, and I'm off now, past the turnstile, the stairs, and into Astoria. How's this cornucopia work? One thing plus another, and repeat. Say a boy in a red suit with a birdcage on one side, a cat on the other. Like the boy is blonde, the suit too short. And what's in the cage? Where'd that cat go? But that's Goya. Try Gershwin. This is Steinway Street. Let's say everything green. These ladies' saris, mint green, sunlit against the black green, deckled green hedge. High in the tea-green trees, each green nest awaits a green bird. Or like the coffee clatch of sparrows outside my window. Each morning they file this reminder, you're human, you're human. And everything else I can't shoehorn in here, piled up like the fish, pale pink and dark pink, stacked row upon row in this fishmonger's ice, beneath the swirly, frothy cherry blossoms. I'd let it go, almost. I would, almost all of it now, to have what's next, right here, what just makes it into my eye, that flicker, this watery light, that bit of distant tinsel the magpie drops everything for. A number of these poems I wrote during a year in which I took a challenge from my friend, the poet Jay Leeming, to write a poem every day, which is good to do for 1 year. I can't find the poem. There it is. But I find that it makes you very open and aware of everything, to try to find anything that could be a poem for that day. Or I would fall behind and then I'd need 3 or 4 poems for that day. And so it's a kind of useful sort of desperation that it creates. But this poem, I was on the subway platform one night with my wife, and we're waiting for a train, and there was this group next to us who were maybe college students, and this one woman kept saying, like, the way a lot of times we do, and he was like this, and I was like, oh my God, and I thought that is sort of interesting, because I do that a lot too, and I thought, maybe there's a poem in that. And so this is called And Nadine Was Like. A flea that hops from dog to dog. And Wendy was like, cherubic is just a nicer way to say fat. And Len was like the drain down which you pour the tail ends of old liqueurs. Blue Moon, quince schnapps. Then Naoko was like, who threw this party anyway? And Susie was like, I hate to say it, but I'm all sushied out. But Fred was like, let's dance. But Sylvia was like a typewriter in a crowd of computers. And Jill was like a man who asks his wife for a divorce the day after an earthquake. But Sal was like, now is asks really quite right? And Bob and Bill were the red banners strung up and down Mott Street that say Happy New Year again and again. But Betty was like spaghetti, stuck to the wall. Then Jill sneezed and sneezed, like a phone that rings and rings, that rings but doesn't get picked up. And she was like, we all have so much to let go of. And Fred chimed in, we're lonely, even though we have cell phones. But Ty was like a magnet, made of metal, highly charged. And Joan was like winter, but with all her leaves still on. Then Sylvia was like a peck on the cheek and a peek down the blouse. And Naoko was like that blouse. And Jane was like the clock that turns back just once a year. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Where'd the time go this time? But I can't forget Lily. Lily like a wisp, like a whisper. Lily like the fish the fisherman missed, slippery, silvery, here and not here, now here, no, here. I fell for her. And then I was like the fall. And she was like the maple leaf rag the blind pianist played that made us stop and close our eyes. And these next two poems are also about painters and also sort of a poem and a sequel. You can tell I've rearranged this manuscript a lot. I don't know where these are. And there's a wonderful Chinese scroll at the Detroit Institute of Art. It's about 450 years old. And as is often the case, I guess, with Chinese scroll paintings, there's this beautiful landscape of cliffs and trees and a river, and there's off to one side in all this white space, there's a tiny boat with some people in it. And I sort of imagine, what if the painter had put himself in this boat, and then what if he told you about this painting, and what would that sound like? And so this is my imagination, my imagining of his voice. His name is Wen Zhengming. And then the second poem is written to him. So this is his voice, about a boat. All this white space, a waste. But I think of our sturdy boat, which is here. My good friend Han's son here too, who mans the rudder. And beside me, plump Master Shan, with his belted robe and mustache, who paid for this scroll. He has given me a job, ink and one brush. Something to do and something to do it with. Mrs. Shan has brought along a tall, footed urn, which I hope contains tea, and her demure smile. We ride low in the water, which is almost not here either, only the faint stirrings sun makes with the rudder. Where are we going? It's been 444 years, and I still won't say. Not getting, but going after. That matters. Still, I have my back to the bow, though I have turned my head once more, nearly all the way around, to look toward fair Mrs. Shan. Her robes and mine, all of ours, are the color of scroll paper showing through. Master Shan cares only for black ink. We are outlines of ourselves. Look closer, and you'll see now I look past Mrs. Shan to the fifth of our party, this soft-shouldered lady perched in the bow, her shoulder turned to us, who in turn looks off deeper into the scroll. Kindly understand. Faces and hair trouble me. The master's square hat a courtesy just now to cover his bald head. So I hope I show her well. It has been 444 years. At last, however softly, I'm about to call her name. And this is this sort of response to my imagining of Wen Jingming. This is called A Postcard from Astoria for Wen Jingming. Black coffee steams in my styrofoam cup. November, heel of the year. On 30th Avenue, skewers of meat $1 apiece. Get a whiff of the fish shop. Blue, translucent fillets laid out on ice. The best tortillas in Queens, made by a 52-year-old woman from Guangzhou. I thought you'd like that. Here's a pic of Lil at the zoo. See her rain-slicked arms? Llamas, giraffes stood still in the drizzle. This was before I'd kissed her, and so all day I imagined kissing her. From the train platform, look north for the yellow lamp left on in the kitchen. The tooth-colored sink, the bowl on my table, pool water blue. How they fill with light. A few leftover leaves click in the oak outside the window. Dusk now, and soon snow. And this is a poem from my home state. It's called When We Were Michiganders. Sockless and loafers, our collars flipped up. Out on the patio, it's 1982 all over again. June bugs dive bomb the tiki torches. Another margarita? My mouth's a circle of salt. The sprinkler zigzags, a few final rainbows on the lawn. Kitty, with your hair done up in a Joan Fontaine do, you're our girl in Argyle. Curiosity couldn't kill you. Me, I have nothing to say, but a clever way to say it. Let's watch this inchworm move an inch. Put your ear against mine. One voice in my head's giving advice to the other. You might learn something. Do we improve when we improv? Or is it just more of the same old toing and froing? Here in the Great Lakes state, my hand makes a handy map. My sky is held up with a magnet on the fridge. Stars of paste and glitter. What a mess. But listen, tonight I spied loneliness on the patio, a lone patio chair. Oh, woven webbed seat. Oh, tubular aluminum. And once I fell asleep in the barber chair, the clippers buzzing like a hummingbird behind my ear. Then I thought I died. I did. Think it, I mean. That's the way the cookie crumbles, Mom says, and moths and mosquitoes dance all night in the porch light's white cone. And I'm just going to read a couple more. This is another poem from that year of poems. It's called Horse Poetica. Horse Poetica. The one I rode in on. That mud-colored nag. When he blinks his black eye, bigger than my fist, his eyelids an upside-down pocket. And the scrape, the spark of horseshoes on dry rock. Each sound has a silence tied to its tail. Or else it gets penned up in the mighty barrel staves of his ribs. Oh, but staves? That makes me hear music. That tinny harmonica, that tuneless squeeze box, the song we ought to know better by now, but still follow for days down a path that's only a path because we believe it is. Now where'd I giddy up and go? My horse can't canter. I hop along. We've been outfoxed, farmed out and fenced in. If we were given a chance, then given a second chance, we'd both choose a paddle and a boat and float. Soggy but saddleless. We both need new names, then new shoes. Meanwhile, we hang a left at the one-armed cactus. There's another life after this one, but it's just as dusty. Meanwhile, we're caught in a crowd of cows and cowhands. But they part for us. They part like a Red Sea of beef. Then they get going. Then I get the bit between his teeth. Then he bites. Boy, could we use a minor catastrophe or two. Lead lightning like a lasso streaks straight at us. And this is a semi-true account of a guy I knew in college who was interested in, at the time, what were somewhat obscure musical instruments. This is called Fred Pegg's Didgeridoo. Not the real deal. Eucalyptus hollowed by termites, scouted out in the outback, the aboriginal way, after a long night of tapping on trunks to find the right kind of thick. Then debarked, cleaned and marked and tuned, who knows just how. But a stretch of PVC tube taller than him, striped with duct tape, he hauled around like a prophet's staff, a liberated downspout. Bamboo trumpet, Webster's says, getting it exactly wrong for once. Even if Fred trumpeted like an angry elephant, rolled out a foghorn drone to send me packing, or, then again, lead me home. My didge, Fred said, as if that explained everything. Though even before he fit the name to the thing, the name itself was music, fit for my ears, and those of the first man and woman, so the story goes, back in the outback again, to conjure every beast and bird they'd need to populate the world, that hum going on and on and on. All the animals gathered round, wide-eyed, like, well, now what? With the right puffs of breath, he might rouse the spirit of what moves us and leaves no tracks. But not so fast. It takes months to get just the breathing right. For now, farts and grunts, a waspy buzz, awkward as a lost whale, immodest as a gassy kangaroo, some local yokel rolling over, groaning in bed, waking the wife. Shh. It's 3 a.m. in West Virginia. Even the standing cows have drifted off. Go back to sleep now, dear, she says into the dark. It's just a dream you're dreaming. And this last poem is for my wife. One of the wonderful things about living in Astoria was that in basically the middle of Queens, you could be woken up by birds singing, which was sort of wonderful and strange at the same time. And so this takes place there again, and it's called "Woken Each Morning by the Glad Laughter of Birds." So long, skydivers. Who jumps out of a perfectly good plane, even in a dream? Hello, blackbirds. Are you blackbirds ringing in my wake-up call? Conclerie, ocrelay. But too quick on the wing, like luck, to say for sure. Here and gone, unlike this afternoon's watered-down watercolors. They stay all day. Gosh, how beautifully boring. Even the greeneries, well, just green. So rain falls, things grow. Big whoop. Does yoga stress you out too? Too much water in your watermelon? Hang on, Lulu. I love seeing how, arms full, you close the car door with your hip, you sexy problem solver. But I should be helping, not seeing. I don't want you to be a symbol or an image. Just be. With me, please. And now, let's do what we do best. The Watusi. The Shingaling. I'm sorry if every poem turns into a love poem, but not that sorry. And now I'm still talking when I'm wanting to listen. May my ear be a dark room on a sunny day, cool enough to draw you in. May we be blessed only with what we need, that slippery something non-chemists call chemistry. Thank you very much.